Nuclear family basically is made up of a father, mother, and a couple of children or so, and hence is compact and small. The father's role is of providing for the family as well as protecting it, while also being the family's disciplinary role model. The woman's role within the nuclear family consists of housework and motherhood. It is based on a heterosexual relationship generally involving romantic love. Nuclear family as a concept started about 3 decades ago. It was more of compulsion in the initial times. The husband had a job outside the hometown and had to get the wife and kids along. Now it is more of a choice now. Reason behind is a need for independence and autonomy in decision making. It started with the separation of the male siblings after marriage. This separation was more of a rescue from everyday family quarrels. In recent decades, this traditional form of the family has undergone major changes with the increasing rates of divorce leading to single parent families, remarriages, resulting in extended families. These trends and the resulting problems that they cause, especially for the children, has brought the advantages of nuclear families back into focus. Nuclear family. Nuclear family is a family group consisting of a father and mother and their children who share living quarters. This can be contrasted with an extended family. Nuclear families can have any number of children. Historical records indicate that it was not until the 17th and 18th centuries that the nuclear family became prevalent in Western Europe. With the emergence of proto-industrialization and early capitalism, the nuclear family became a financially viable social unit. According to Professor Wolfgang Hack of Adelaide University, the nuclear family is natural to Homo sapiens. A 2005 archaeological dig in Illow, Germany, analyzed by Hack, revealed genetic evidence suggesting that the 13 individuals found in a grave were closely related. Hack said, by establishing the genetic links between the 2 adults and 2 children buried together in one grave, we have established the presence of the classic nuclear family in a prehistoric context in Central Europe. However, even here, the evidence suggests that the nuclear family was embedded with an extended family. The remains of 3 children, probably siblings based on DNA evidence, were found buried with a woman who was not their mother but may have been an aunt or a stepmother. Every individual who belonged to a nuclear family finds his primary kins within the family. There are 8 primary kins: husband, wife, father, son, mother, son, father, daughter, mother, daughter, young brother, elder brother, younger sister, elder sister, and brother, sister. Outside the nuclear family, the individual can have 33 types of secondary relatives. For example, mother's brother, brother's wife, sister's husband, father's brother. In its most common usage, the term nuclear family refers to a household consisting of a father, a mother, and their children, all in one household dwelling. George Murdoch also describes the term in this way. The family is a social group characterized by common residence, economic cooperation, and reproduction. It contains adults of both sexes, at least two of whom maintain a socially approved sexual relationship, and one or more children, owned or adopted, of the sexually cohabiting adults, compared to extended family. An extended family group is consisted of non-nuclear or non-immediate family members living together with nuclear or immediate family members. Changes to family formation. The popularity of the nuclear family in the West as opposed to extended family living together came about in the early 20th century, prompted in part by increased wages earned by the working class. This enabled more and more families to be economically independent and thus to own their own home. Advantages of the nuclear family. Autonomy. Living as a nuclear family unit comes with a very big advantage of capacity of taking autonomous decisions. The young couple might want to set up their home according to their own taste. It also gets autonomy in the way life has to be conducted, like socializing, outings, guests, eating habits, etc. Availability of couple time. The nuclear family setup offers more couple time as there are no daily rituals of larger family connection. Creative living. The new couple in a nuclear family also gets a chance to establish newer ways to conduct their lives. They get an opportunity to create their own rituals, customs, and value systems in their family. They can creatively mix their respective family cultures and form a new refined culture. Interdependency creates better bond. Being interdependent brings a great deal of warmth and intimacy. When parents and larger family is not around, they have no other choice but to depend on each other to carry on everyday life course. A stable environment. Children raised in a family with the same parents during their growing years have a higher likelihood of having stability in their relationship and emotional bonding. Children that grow up in a single parent household have higher chances of feeling a sense of loss regarding the absent parent and miss out on the advantage of the emotional support and dual insights that both a father and mother can provide. Behavioral stability. With both the father and the mother, children get a better sense of what is acceptable and unacceptable as far as behavior is concerned, especially when both the parents look after their nurturing. When both parents agree on the kind of behavior that they want from their children, it adds authority and thus can be instilled in a better way. A sense of consistency. When children grow up in a nuclear family, they get a sense consistency, especially when it also includes closeness with other members of the family such as grandparents, aunts and uncles and cousins. This enables them to feel as if they are a part of a wider whole, particularly during the traditional get-togethers. This provides a strong foundation to their roots and can be a guiding principle all their lives. Learning skills. In a nuclear family, children usually get far more extensive training in life skills. For instance, mothers usually teach their children relationship skills like emotional response skills and how to have smooth relations with others, while fathers in general teach their children handiwork skills and sports skills like fixing things around the house or hitting a baseball, as well as how to deal with the world outside. Sharing responsibility. With two parents sharing the responsibility of raising the children, It enables one parent to take time to pursue other interests or get a rest while the other parent plays or works with the children. Children that are raised in a nuclear family also tend to take on some of the sharing of the responsibilities, such as older siblings taking care of younger siblings. In a nuclear family, such roles are usually performed by expectation and example rather than formal instruction. Physical and emotional support. Nuclear families usually have more physical and emotional resources with which they can reinforce the whole. Through observing their parents and by following the examples set by them, children learn how to help in the building of the family. Rise of the nuclear family in India. There was once an India that treasured the traditional joint family. Five brothers, their spouses, their children, their grandchildren, and the dog all lived under one roof. They ate together, slept together, cried together, laughed together, and prayed together in perfect harmony. Families got together in the evenings, men discussing politics, mothers in law gossiping, and daughters in law cooking, while the children played in the verandas. The families then were a kaleidoscope of color, laughter, relationships, song, dance, food, and happiness. Well, those were the days of yore, and the Indian family has moved on. With distinctive opinions, rising double income marriages, lucrative career opportunities, flaring tempers, and the need for space, the nuclear family is now the order of the day. The quintessential working Indian couple in the metro today scrabbles for time with crazy commutes, deadlines at work, taking care of their kids, and managing their household chores. Given all these pressures, the last thing they want to deal with are compromises and interferences from other family members. The nuclear setup is fast becoming the next most ideal option, with the need for space being paramount. While independence is a big takeaway from a nuclear family, it brings along with it a stream of other problems. Kids are left at daycare or at the mercy of a maid while the parents are away at work. In a joint family setup, they are looked after by a trusted family member under whose supervision the children feel protected, loved, and nurtured. When finances are on the downslide, there are always people to bail you out. But in a nuclear setup, your problems, whether financial or emotional, are yours alone. But then again, you win some and you lose some. That said, with lives getting crazier by the minute, both setups today strive hard to strike that perfect happily ever after balance, which once upon a time was not such a big deal after all. Challenges to the nuclear family. The nuclear family became popularized in the 20th century with the baby boom of the 1950s and the golden age of marriage in the 1960s. With the divorce rate increasing in the 1970s, new partnerships began to take shape and challenged the nuclear model. Many countries across the world have begun to see a decline in the nuclear family as it is eclipsed by alternative family structures and partnerships. This is the case, for instance, in many Eastern Bloc countries. Meanwhile, other countries have seen these new forms of partnership become the majority, such as Northern European countries like Sweden. The most striking feature of modern society is the sharp decline of first time marriages and the rapid rise of divorce. with divorce rates in Europe quadrupling from 1960 to 1992. In the United Kingdom, divorce is found most commonly in young spouses, couples from lower social classes, professionally or economically successful women, and finally, remarried people. Sociologists have proposed a number of key explanations for this surge in divorce. Divorce, they argue, is now, in a legal sense, easier to accomplish and is also socially acceptable. Similarly, individualism is increasing, with many people more interested in personal satisfaction than putting family first. In a parallel fashion, women are today less dependent on men and have expectations of careers where in previous generations their aspirations and expectations may have differed. All these elements have combined and contributed to the increased popularity of divorce. Divorce has affected the nuclear family model dramatically and has led to a huge increase in single parent families, with almost 1 in 5 families with dependent children headed by a single parent. Many researchers have found that divorce can have a serious psychological effect on children, with some sociologists claiming that divorce is linked to adolescent promiscuity. Divorce has also led to an increase in remarriages, with remarriage accounting for 1/3 of all marriages in the UK. The decline of first time marriages has led to the average marriage age increasing, causing women to have children later in life. In the European Union, the average age of marriage was 28.5 years in 1993, a dramatic increase from the 1970s. It is clear that the rise of divorce and the decline of first time marriages are key components in the development of new forms of partnership. These, in turn, can be seen as challenging the nuclear family and creating what Stacy in 1996 has referred to as the post-modern family. The challenge presented by new forms of partnership. These new types of partnerships that have emerged are various and plentiful. To understand how these partnerships have challenged the nuclear family, it is important that we identify the most common forms and how they emerged. Many forms of partnerships act as alternatives to marriage and do not involve children. Possible alternate partnerships and families include cohabitation, same-sex partnerships, living together apart, singlehood, one-parent households, and remarriages, which tend to create blended families of step-parents and step-siblings. We will look at two important new forms of partnership: cohabitation and same-sex partnerships. Cohabitation is the most widespread of new partnerships. It is a partnership where an unmarried couple share a household. Cohabitation has overtaken marriage as the most popular choice for first-time unions. Though cohabitation is the closest of new partnerships to marriage, it is by no means a complete substitute. Studies have found that cohabiting couples are more likely to split up even with children. Moreover, this new form of partnership has legal implications, with the legal rights of fathers varying from country to country, not always sharing the same rights as married fathers. Nonetheless, cohabitation has emerged as a considerable challenge to the nuclear family, with the percentage of people in cohabiting relationships on the rise across the world. Same-sex partnerships have also become more widespread in recent times as homosexuality has become more socially accepted, with many gay families of choice and many gay couples choosing to raise children of their own. According to Michael Kimmel, in the USA, there are an estimated 1.5 million to 5 million lesbian mothers and between 1 million and 3 million gay fathers. While most countries allow same sex couples to register their partnership, such as France, very few countries actually legally allow gay marriage. Denmark and Spain are two of the few exceptions. Adoption by gay couples is allowed in many countries, and there is a growing acceptance of the same sex partnerships as an alternative to marriage and the nuclear family. Currently, in countries where gay marriage is legal, a same sex marriage has a better chance of lasting than the opposite sex marriages. While homosexual marriage challenges many traditional conceptions of marriage and family in Europe, the spread of same sex adoption has seen an increasing number of gay couples seek the same rewards from child raising as heterosexual couples. It is a strange twist of fate in modern society that finds gay marriage gaining more support and leading to stable marriages, while heterosexual marriage decline and divorce increases. While gay marriage may challenge the nuclear family, legal recognition for same-sex couples allows them to legitimize their families and react this increasingly popular choice of alternatively partnership. The challenge presented by declining fertility rates. Declining fertility rates are a growing problem in modern times. In Europe, they have fallen from 2.66 in 1960-65 to only 1.48 in 1995-2000. The problem is even severe in Japan, with a sharp drop from 3.65 to 1.38. Children traditionally have been a key element of the family, with many people regarding partnerships without them as something other than the real families. A dramatic shift in the makeup of families has occurred now that more and more partnerships do not contain children. Nevertheless, it is clear that the decline of marriage is not responsible for the decline in fertility rates. Many sociologists point towards women's greater social liberation, modern contraceptives, abortion, greater levels of sexual permissiveness, and the advent of gay rights as factors that contribute to falling fertility rates. The fact that fertility rates tripled in cohabiting couples points to a disconnect between declining marriage rates and declining fertility rates. The declining fertility rates are sure to have long-term effects for families. As the amount of children born gradually drops, new forms of partnership not centered around children will emerge in societies. In China, the government has intervened in the makeup of family. From 1980, the one-child policy of the Chinese government has prevented an estimated 250 million births. More girls have been aborted than boys, leading to an imbalance in societal makeup which presents its own unique consequences and challenges for Chinese society. The one-child policy has led to a manipulation of the natural balance of births, and some families in China have even gone to extreme measures to have a second child secretly. The makeup of families in China has changed dramatically, and new forms of partnerships have formed, with the nuclear family almost non-existent. These trends vary from country to country and also over time. If we look briefly at the state of the family in the UK, we might observe a very different society that of our grandparents or great-grandparents. With regard to marriage, first-time marriages have fallen from over 3 billion per year in 1950 to less than 2 million per year in 2005. Meanwhile, remarriage has increased to account for almost 40% of all marriages. There are currently an estimated 150,000 divorces per year in the UK, with almost half of all marriages ending in divorce. Additionally, it is important to note that the UK has the highest divorce rate in Europe. Gay families of choice have also become more mainstream, and the life cycle has changed as fertility rate fall and life expectancy has increased by an average of 25 years. It is clear that the state of the family has changed dramatically in recent times, and the UK is a prime case study for this. It is clear that in recent decades, more forms of partnership have emerged, but it could be argued that they do not, in fact, challenge the nuclear family. Social issues. Nuclear family of a husband and wife with 2 children has historically been rare. At any given time in history, a plethora of family types are to be found. To assume that the nuclear family was the only form and is only now in recent times being challenged is not a valid argument. As we move towards a post-modernist society, so too will the notion of what family is, and it will grow to incorporate greater varieties of families. While the nuclear family will remain a popular form of partnership, it will not be the only one. The big Indian family breaks up, nuclear homes, the trend, the big Indian joint family with uncles, aunts, and cousins living under one roof seems to be a thing of the past in the capital. Most households in Delhi comprise nuclear families with at most married couples living with their parents. According to the census report of Delhi 2011, the largest number of households is 69.5%, have only one married couple. At 17.1%, houses with 2 married couples are a distant second, and houses with more than 2 married couples are minuscule. Going by household size, most families in Delhi have 6 to 8 members, 25.6%, followed closely by 4-member families, 24%. This means that half of houses in Delhi comprise of a married couple, their children and parents, or one married couple and their children. The number of households with more than 9 members which are found in a joint family setup is only 5.9%. Anand Kumar, Professor, Jawaharlal Nehru University, said that the metropolis might not have very small nuclear families, as most Delhiites prefer to stay with their parents even after getting married. Individuals prefer to live with their family more for survival, and that is why even when dependents become grown-ups, they just add another room to the house, he said. We have sought to examine the development of the family within society over recent years, drawing upon a wide variety of examples. I have attempted to show that the changing partnerships and new forms of family have not challenged the traditional family. Our conclusion undermines the very basic of the argument that new forms of partnerships or declining fertility form a challenge to the nuclear family. Although the nuclear family has existed throughout history, it has largely been a token or idealized institution. In reality, the complexities of family life have dictated that throughout history, individuals have inevitably sought to develop their own system or niche within which they interact with society. With this proposal, one uncertainty remains. The family has changed significantly over recent years, and as a system so fundamental to individuals and societies alike, there remains the question of where these developments will lead. Is it inevitable, for instance, that the pattern of individualization and autonomy continues, thus alienating individuals from one another, leading to decreased fertility? Or will the rapid rise in dehumanizing technology ultimately draw people back together in the familiar relationships and reverse the present trends of low fertility and marriage rates? This remains to be seen.